Khamzat Chimaev 2022 predictions are wide open after his latest dominant win. The Swedish mixed martial artist is a once-in-a-generation talent. Many people in the MMA community are now calling him the new Khabib in the UFC. In his 4 wins at the organization, Chimaev absorbed a total of 2 significant fights. Such a stat speaks volumes to just how dominant his performances are. As a result, it seems that his becoming a UFC champion is only a matter of time. The question then becomes, will 2022 be the year in which Chimaev wins the UFC gold? First, Khamzat brought so much hype behind him. After making his UFC debut in July of 2021, Khamzat Chimaev made a bold statement with an impressive performance. The 27-year-old defeated middleweight contender John Phillips via a Darce choke and absorbed only 1 significant strike in the process. 7 days later, the UFC reached out to Chimaev to step inside the octagon again against Rice McKee at welterweight. The Swede happily answered the call and put on a dominant performance to finish his opponent in the first round. With a couple of wins in 7 days, Khamzat put everyone at middleweight and welterweight on notice. Currently, the 27-year-old is on a record of 10-0 with 4 consecutive wins at the UFC. With such a mentality of competing anytime, anywhere, and at any weight class, Chimaev brought so much hype behind him. Fans are almost certain he's a future UFC champion, as it's only a matter of time for him to get there. With that in mind, everyone within the MMA community is discussing Khamzat Chimaev 2022 predictions. Will he continue smashing through everyone? Will Khamzat Chimaev become a champion in 2022? After bringing so much hype behind him, Chimaev's opportunities are wide open in 2022. Many voices in the MMA community are talking about him fighting for the championship already. On the other hand, UFC president Dana White does not want to rush anything with his up-and-coming superstar. White expressed that Chimaev is 4 wins away from a shot at the title, as he believes the 27-year-old needs more time in the octagon before fighting for gold. However, depending on how the year plays out, the UFC's plans can quickly change. Chael Sonnen names the fighter most likely to be the next double champ, and would you guess who that is? MMA analyst and former mixed martial artist Chael Sonnen predicts that Khamzat Chimaev will likely be the next champ in the UFC. The bad guy Chael Sonnen has a long MMA history. Since his retirement from the mat, he's been a strong voice in the world of combat sports. Sonnen offers his opinions and many predictions revolving around current MMA events. In an interview with the Schmo last month, Sonnen predicted who he thinks will be the next double champ in the UFC. Well, again, I'm not ready to write off Adesanya. I know that he was the closest, just because he got the opportunity, but I do think that Chimaev's got some really hard work in front of him. But he is probably the guy. If you're only giving me one option, he's probably the guy most likely. That should add another boost to Chimaev's confidence. The undefeated fighter has seen a lot of success and has a lot of hype surrounding him. Chimaev has many targets on his radar and appears to be ready to be the next UFC double champ. He has called out Usman for a title shot and wants a piece of the middleweight champion Israel Adesanya as well. After defeating Gilbert Burns at UFC 273, Chimaev is drawing closer and closer to the first world title shot of his young MMA career. Even Daniel Cormier claims the guy will be a double champ. Khamzat Chimaev could be the UFC welterweight and middleweight champion, believes Daniel Cormier, who is fully on board with the organization's brightest rising star. Chimaev has burst onto the scene over the last 2 months, making his UFC debut on the 16th of July, and already racking up 3 wins under the company's banner. The 26-year-old knocked out Gerald Meerschaert in 17 seconds, making it just 66 days between his first and third UFC victories, a modern record in the organization. The Wolf beat John Phillips on debut and Meerschaert at middleweight, while he dropped down to welterweight to destroy Ireland's Rice McKee. 170 pounds appears to be where he would likely compete at an elite level, but Cormier believes he's good enough to win gold at both welterweight and middleweight. DC feels it's time for the Sweden-based Chechen to be unleashed on top-level competition, more advanced than the proposed bout with Damian Maia, and within 12 months, he could hold the belts at 170 and 185 pounds. I don't want to see Damian Maia in there with Khamzat. He'll get knocked out. He is getting knocked out, Cormier said on DC and Helwani. Even Alexander Volkanovski predicted the outcome of Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. UFC featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski recently gave his pick for the fight between Khamzat Chimaev and Gilbert Burns at UFC 273, which was scheduled for April 9th, 2020. 2022. In an interview with James Lynch on the previous edition of the MMA Pros Pick, Volkanovski admitted that he is expecting Chimaev to dominate the fight against Durinho. While the Great acknowledged Burns' crazy grappling skills, he is of the view that Borz is more equipped to beat the Brazilian welterweight. Chimaev has been one of the brightest prospects in the UFC in recent times. He remains undefeated in the UFC so far with a pro record of 10-0. His last fight was against Li Jingliang at UFC 267, where he scored a victory via first-round submission. Meanwhile, Gilbert Burns last defeated Stephen Thompson at UFC 264 via unanimous decision. With a pro record of 20 wins and 4 losses, he is one of the most sought-after fighters in the division. Another day, another set of wild expectations put upon the shoulders of the famous Khamzat Chimaev, a fighter who has become, as David Castillo would say, MMA's current monster of the week. The Chimaev hype train has been rolling since the Swedish Chechen arrived on Fight Island 1, Qatar vs. Ig, on July 16. There, he beat John Phillips with a Darce. 2 quick turnarounds followed, which led to demolitions of Rice McKee and Gerald Mearshart, who Chimaev KO'd in 17 seconds last weekend. Having fully smashed into the mainstream, Chimaev has been singled out as a special talent by fans, media, and UFC president Dana White. Yesterday, the 26-year-old received more lofty praise from future UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier. On ESPN, Cormier let everyone know just how much faith he has in Chimaev's potential in the hurt business. By 2021, Khamzat Chimaev is fighting for his belt or is the champ, continued Cormier. In 2021, Khamzat Chimaev is the double champ, 170 and 185 pounds. I love UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya, but he goes up and down. He fights everybody. After what I saw, this spaceship is going to the moon. He's got a great philosophy. He's got a great mind for fighting. He's got all the physical ability to dominate 2 weight classes. Dude is the real deal. Cormier knows a thing or two about being a double champion. The former Strikeforce heavyweight title holder won the UFC light heavyweight belt back in 2015 with a submission win over Anthony Johnson. DC defended the title versus Alexander Gustafsson, Johnson again, and Volkan Oezdemir. While still holding the belt, Cormier challenged Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight strap. Cormier beat Miocic at UFC 226 in 2018, becoming the second champ in UFC history. Conor McGregor was the first. Cormier relinquished his 205-pound title and defended the heavyweight belt versus Derek Lewis. In 2019, he lost the title to Miocic. Finally, UFC champion Kamaru Usman warned he could be beaten by 2 title challengers. Kamaru Usman has been told Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards both have the tools to dethrone him as 170 pounds champion, as he prepares to make for another title defense once he returns from injury. UFC champion Kamaru Usman has been warned that potential challengers Khamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards are capable of beating him and stealing his 170-pound crown. Usman has yet to appear since outpointing leading ranked contender Colby Covington in a thrilling rematch late last year. British star Edwards is expected to be the next challenger later this summer when he has made a full recovery from hand surgery. UFC legend George St. Pierre has hailed Usman's phenomenal form since becoming champion, but believes it's harder to stay on top with contenders chasing world glory. He told MMA News, "I believe there's a lot of guys that can beat Usman. I do believe personally Usman is the best right now in the division. That doesn't mean he's invincible. He needs to always stay on top of his game." Usman has made 5 successful defenses of his title, including 2 against Jorge Masvidal and 2 against Covington. Edwards has placed himself in pole position to face the Nigerian Nightmare next, swiftly denying claims that he's been offered money to step aside and allow Conor McGregor to fight for the title. Do you think Leon Edwards or Khamzat Chimaev could beat Kamaru Usman? Let us know in the comments section below. Thanks for sticking around till the end, and make sure to leave a comment below on whether or not Chimaev becomes double champ. Till next time.